What's the biggest reason why my Clippers lost game 2?
With great power, Sal, you know it comes, man. That great responsibility. The biggest reason the Clippers lost, playoff P, way off P, pandemic P, PG-7 because he wasn't PG-13. That was the biggest reason. Wow. Now, we praised Paul George the last 7 games because of what he's done the last 7 games.
We? That means you too.
No, you
okay,
didn't.
I'm about to say, that's you and I.
That was solo. But be real, Sal.
What?
Paul George, you're the best player on the team. If you are the best player on the team, you cannot play like the worst player on the team. Paul George, you are the best player on the team. How can you be the least efficient player on the team? Paul George, everybody on your squad, all of them cats played better than you offensively, at least when it comes down to offensive efficiency. What do I mean and why do I say that? It's very, 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 very simple. Zubac, he went 6 for 6 from the free throw line. Reggie Jackson, he went 2 for 2 from the free throw line. Cousins, he went 2 for 2 from the free throw line. Rondo, 2 for 2 from the free throw line. But Paul George, you went 5 for 10? PG, you went 1 for 8 from 3 when Reggie Jackson went 3 for 7, when Pat Bev went 2 for 4, when Rondo went 2 for 4. You had the worst three-point percentage, the worst free throw percentage, and one of the worst field goal percentages, and you the best player. So no game comes down to one play. I'm not that ignorant. I'm not that naive. We all know no game comes down to one play, but one play can change a game. No game comes down to 2 shots, but 2 shots can change a game. Paul George, you gave and you took away. You took away and then you gave. Just because you hit them 2 clutch buckets to take the lead does not mean I can turn a blind eye to that one word free, which precedes throw, free throws. You can't miss 2 of them. Sal, Paul George was supposed to be that dude. He is supposed to be that dude. He's went to the free throw line in his playoff career 266 times to shoot a pair of free throws. He's only missed twice, 9 times, prior to missing twice at the end of the game. Sal, there was less than a 4% chance that playoff
3.7 if you really want to go there, brother, because I saw that stat too.
There was a 3.7% chance that he would miss both.
Yeah.
And when your team needed you most, the thing that was so unlikely to happen, you allowed to happen. First lap is Paul George's fault. Second lap, I'm going to talk what ain't nobody else talking.
Okay. Biggest reason my Clippers lost game 2 is a collective reason, but I got to get specific because
Please do.
I'm not going to do what you did. You know, people out here cutting the cord right now, right? People not watching TV just the same. It's not destinational like it used to be, right? Don't you ever start off a show talking about free throws and free throw percentage again. People going to turn the channel. What the hell? Since you want to talk free throws, which team has the highest free throw percentage in NBA history? I wonder. Since you
probably the Clippers.
What do you mean probably?
Nothing for him.
Hold on. What do you mean probably? Do your work. 3.7 percentage. And it's the Clippers. That's how I do my work. So let's talk about law of averages. You think PG-13, don't you ever disrespect that man, call him 7 again, PG-13 is going to be in that position again and fail in that position again? No. You heard Ty Lue. I'm not listening to you, Emmanuel Acho. Let me get to my real take, and hopefully the remotes are still on our channel after your free throw percentage talk. Here's the thing. If you want to go to the ocean and just stare at the water, you're going to sit there and you're going to say, oh, look at those waves. Oh, man, it looks great out there. It looks fun, tumultuous, all that good stuff. But let's go deeper than that. You want to stay on the surface. PG. Yeah, we know he was inefficient. We know he needs a third person outside of Reggie Jackson to help him since there's no Kawhi Leonard. So on the surface, it's PG. His missed free throws, his inefficient shooting, blah, blah, blah. But really, if you want to go get wet, you want to mess up that hair a little bit, dive into that water.
Please.
Let's go find what's really the issue with my Clippers right now. Full screen time, it's Marcus Morris. Where you at, big dog? Where you at? I got to go deep sea diving for you right now. Because if you look at Marcus Morris in the first 2 rounds, and then you look at him against Phoenix, you half yourself, bro. You are half of you. I understand you're battling injuries right now. Hey, if you're really hurt, if you're really injured, stay out the game. More minutes for Terrence Mann. More minutes for Kennard or something. Let him get some shooting earlier in the game. But if you're not that injured, then don't come out and give me half of your performance level. That's the problem. 3 for 11 last night, Marcus Morris. I know I could go easily with PG, but PG played us into that game. Let me tell you why.
Please.
This one didn't hurt like most of them when we go down 0-2, even though we always recover. This one didn't hurt the same. Let me tell you why. as you know in football, and I brought this up on our call, the cleanest hits, the hardest hits, the ones that make the crowd go, ugh, the one your mama texting you and trying to call you, but you still on the field, is the ones that don't hurt the most. It's those ones that no one even noticed. It's the one that you just got an elbow just in the wrong position, obtuse angles and stuff like that. But it's the clean ones that makes the crowd react, but not me feel it.
That's fair.
This was one of those clean losses. Like, look, dude, we ain't out there playing as a collective. Right now, we don't have a third guy. Right now, we're letting them get into the paint. All the things that I mentioned pre-show, pre-game that are now coming up in the actual game made this a clean hit. Clippers now 0-2 again. We're fine. We've been in this position before. Every single time we come out on top victorious. But if you want to know the reasons, Paul George, surface ocean level. Look at those waves. You really want to get wet? It's Marcus Morris.
No, it's not Marcus Morris. I don't even like disagreeing as much as I like discussing.
Okay.
Here's why it's not Marcus Morris. I'm not going to fault the third to fourth best player on this team.
Well, he moves up because guess who's gone?
That's why I said third to fourth. Now he is the third. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it's Marcus Morris's fault. Paul George, you came on and said he could save the Clippers without Kawhi. He could do it by himself. Paul George can't go 1 for 8 from 3.
That wasn't
You're
literal.
the best player. Because here's what we do. When Paul George plays great, we applaud him. But then when he does not, we just look away. When Marcus Morris plays great, we don't pay any attention. But then when we don't, Marcus Morris. Remember game 5 against the Jazz when Marcus Morris gave you 25 points? Like, Marcus Morris shows up even as the third best player. So I can't fault Marcus Morris. Now, what I will say is this.
What?
You're only as strong as your weakest link, and you are only as intelligent as your most incompetent player.
You want me to agree with that?
When I look, it's just true.
I'm thinking.
This is true.
We have some sorry players.
You're only as incompetent. You're only as smart as your most incompetent player. That last play, can we look at it one more time when Crowder throws the inbounds pass to Ayton, a.k.a. Eaton?
All the fouls that we going to see? Let's see all these fouls.
Because here was the most important thing on the last play. Boogie Cousins, he's defending the inbounds pass. Boogie Cousins, why are you standing straight up? Why don't you shade towards the basket and make Crowder throw it out to the three-point line? You're 6'10", and at one point in time were as athletic as can be. Boogie Cousins, you stand straight up, therefore Crowder still has a perfect pass to the right at the basket and allows Ayton to make it. If you really want to dive deep beneath the surface, who do I blame? I blame the 6'10" center that's standing in front of Crowder that allows Crowder to throw a perfect pass. When you are looking at a game plan, like the Clippers did right before that play, the game plan on paper says one thing. Okay, Boogie, stand in front of the inbounds passer and make yourself as big as possible. But common sense always takes over in a game. And what common sense should say is, if Jay Crowder has 0.9 seconds to get the ball somewhere for somebody to thus shoot it, I should probably stand in the way of the basket, because the only way they can beat us is, 1, if they get the ball in bounds, and 2, if they get the ball from inbounds into the basket. So I should do the best job to defend the basket. You're only as strong as your weakest link, and you're only as smart as your most incompetent player. And Boogie Cousins at that point on that play showed a lot of incompetence. Cassell, common sense says, Jay Crowder, you have to go one place with this ball. You got to go towards the basket. Let me shade the basket. When I saw that, I don't want to blame Ty Lue. Because every now and then players have to play the game. I'm not going to blame Ty Lue. I got to blame Boogie on that one.
Man, you are funny, boy. And you can distract me easily because I'm so emotionally connected to you. So when you say stuff, I really want to go where you want to go. There's something that tells me, my higher agent just tells me, don't go there with Acho. He ain't going nowhere. You just clown me for clowning the third best Clipper. And then you went to our 12th best Clipper. And to our Boogie, you're our weakest link. And Boogie at the 12th best Clipper is on you in this position. I don't want to hear about Boogie and where he should stand.
So he has no fault in that.
You know what you're doing right now? And we both started off doing the same shows, so don't act like I don't know why you're doing this. You're doing that result-based analysis. You're doing what everyone did with Aaron Rodgers when it was 3rd and 8. Why didn't you run? Well, that's easy to say after he doesn't get the first down. But in the moment, or the touchdown, in the moment, he shouldn't have ran. Did y'all see them defenders that he saw? He was like, nah, B, I ain't running. I hate this result-based analysis. Now we're going to correct everything retroactively. No, we're not. We're going to stick to the script. And it's Paul George. We're in agreement. Why are we beefing? It's Paul George, yeah. But he can't do it by himself. So Paul George, Reggie Jackson are looking around. Where's our help? Paul George and Reggie Jackson haven't seen another player score over 15 points in this series. Think about that. Okay, whatever. Marcus Morris is the reason why I keep focusing in on what's really the catalyst, not the big star, not the big headline, the catalyst to our issues. We are 6-0 in the playoffs when Marcus Morris is 50% or better. When he's under 50%, all of a sudden we're 2-7. We saw him last night, once again, 3 for 11. That's under 50%. There's a direct correlation with our success and Marcus Morris, especially without Kawhi.
But I got a question then. I got one very simple question. Because you're right. We are saying the same thing. Obviously, it's Paul George.
Obviously.
But beyond Paul George, who else is it? Here's my issue. Are we even allowed to look beyond Paul George because of who Paul George is and is supposed to be? Game 1, Devin Booker drops 40, Ayton drops 20. No other Sun had more than 12 points.
Okay.
Devin Booker isn't looking around like, come on, Bridges. Come on, Crowder, you 3-and-D. Come on, Campaign. Devin Booker's like, yeah, y'all are my 3rd, 4th, 5th best player, but I am the best player, so I'm going to make up for any sort of shortcomings that you all have as the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th best player. We talk about Batman and we talk about Robin. We don't talk about Catwoman. No sexist here. But we don't talk about Catwoman. We don't talk about the police officers. We don't talk about, I think John Gordon before he became Two-Face, whatever, not John, whoever he was. Like, we don't talk about all them other cats. We talk about Batman and we talk about Robin. We don't talk about the other townspeople that happen to work out and also be able to contribute a little bit. We talk about the top 2. So when I talk about PG, I talk about Reggie Jackson.
Really?
So I don't want to have an oxygen tank, goggles, and a scuba mask to have to go so deep into the weeds to figure out who else is at fault.
Really?
Well, I can just look behind me. I can just look behind
you don't want to go in the weeds, but you want to pick out and highlight Boogie Cousins? I don't know what part of the earth that is if that ain't the weeds. That is so deep. But go ahead and do what you do. You know why we ain't got to dig in the weeds for the Suns? 1, they have won the first 2 games. But 2, they had 1, 2, 3 players score over 20 points last night. Payne, Ayton, and Booker. Ain't no weed digging. We already see them. Tall grass, all standing up. We balling. All we want to do is make sure we can say the same thing. Look at you. You're over there cutting people.